Okay, now as we know, local tribunals could be very tricky for the conscientious objector, and in Northamptonshire the local tribunals were particularly cowardly about passing the buck to the appeal tribunal, and couldn't see it in their hearts ever to give complete exemptions, and actually very rarely gave work of national importance on the land, for example. Their typical ruling would be NCC, leaving it to the conscientious objector to decide whether to accept that or to appeal to the county tribunal to try to get that decision softened a bit. And each local tribunal had its own way of sort of denying conscientious objectors certain rights. Kettering local tribunal was really onto a good thing here, because the county itself was absolutely honeycombed with boot and shoe workers in the villages and in the small towns. So the boot and shoe industry was turned over to war production completely. No civilian shoes were made in Northamptonshire during the war. They were all Russian high boots and things for the Italian army and things of that sort. So any man in the boot and shoe trade who might be a little artisan working actually in a hut in his back garden doing one part of the shoe process could be denied conscientious objection on the ground that he was inconsistent because he was working for a company that did war work and made profit from the war. So Kettering stuck to this line because it was quite a productive one for them. Other tribunals had other perspectives, but all tended to end up with a very denying attitude towards conscientious objectors. Thus, we find a lot of conscientious objector cases, apart from Quakers, going forward to the appeal tribunal. And if you can be bothered to unspin those numbers that come mostly from Jim McDermott's book, you may notice that Northamptonshire Tribunal, while it had quite a small number of conscience appeals to deal with, typically was lenient in that it would frequently vary the ruling that the local tribunal had made. So conscientious objectors could be fairly confident, if they put a good case at the appeal tribunal, that their ruling would be moved either from refusal to non-combatant service, or more typically and totally atypically for Northamptonshire, from non-combatant service to work of national importance. And I cannot emphasise enough how important that was to the fate of a man who could accept work of national importance, to be able to, for the most part, to stay in England, to perhaps work on the land, or to do something else that fell into the category of work of national importance, to be a maths teacher, for example, various other things that they were seen as difficult things to staff during the war. So I find that shift from non-combatant to work of national importance to be really vital and to be key work that was done by the Northamptonshire Tribunal. Seems to me that the appeal tribunal knew that the local tribunals were very harsh, didn't really want to make proper decisions, and were ready to pass the buck to the appeal tribunal, and they acted accordingly.